Good evening, everyone, and thank you for watching NBC6 Voices on our Facebook and YouTube pages. I'm Jawan Strader. Well, Juneteenth is an annual holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. And this Saturday is the 156th year of that freedom. But that freedom came at a cost. Slavery has had lasting impacts on the Black community, from economic inequity, police brutality, and systemic racism. So, as the fight continues to make Juneteenth a national holiday here in Florida, Juneteenth is marked as a day of observance. So, I had the opportunity to speak with City Manager Arthur H. Sori III and Commissioner Michael Joseph from North Miami Beach about the city of North Miami Beach's Juneteenth Liberation Celebration happening this Saturday. Take a listen. Here with me today, I have North Miami Beach Commissioner Michael Joseph and City Manager Arthur Sori joining me to talk about the Juneteenth celebration happening in North Miami Beach and talk about this dynamic event that is happening. So, Commissioner, let's start with you. Let's talk about why you decided to have this Juneteenth celebration to begin with and make it a little different where it's empowering the youth.
That's good. Thank you so very much, Juwan, for allowing North Miami Beach as well as our great staff and community to be highlighted on your show. Juneteenth is a pivotal moment in our American history, not just African American history, but American history. And I wanted to highlight such a pivotal moment in our history and getting our community to celebrate that history and making Juneteenth a municipal holiday. As you all know, the history behind Juneteenth is when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed back in 1863 and made into law. Made into law January 1st, 1863. It took over 2 years before the last slave-holding state got notice of this Emancipation Proclamation and it becoming law throughout the entire United States. And something like that should be celebrated. And this is just one part in a community like North Miami Beach, and really celebrating something as pivotal as that moment in our American history. And I wanted the young people in our community to know that it should be celebrated and it should be commemorated in having a municipal holiday.
Amen. And Arthur, let's go to you now. You as a city manager, I want to ask you about how you feel your city is empowering the youth and also young professionals with this Juneteenth celebration.
I feel great about it. I'm definitely honored and happy to come here and have such a mandate be put in place as soon as I walk in the door. I've only been here for a short amount of time. I've been here a little over a month now. And one of my first charges was from Commissioner Joseph was to work on this Juneteenth event. I think it's extremely important, and I really like the route that we're going with the Juneteenth event. Educational. It's not just a party. It's education. We're going to educate our kids, educate our residents on the meaning of Juneteenth. We're going to have some breakout sessions, do some education, and I think that's just going to be. I'm just happy that our council recognizes the need to educate the community on such an event. So I'm just happy and really honored to be put in charge of moving something like this forward.
And Commissioner, let's ask you then, why do you think celebrating Juneteenth is so important, especially to your city, the city of North Miami Beach?
I think it's important because, like I pointed out before, it's a pivotal moment in our American history. It is woven in our fabric of what makes us who we are. And like a poet once said, Emma Lazarus, right? None of us are free until all of us are free. And something like when it comes to the Juneteenth being celebrated, I think it's a celebration of not just freedom, but of what we can accomplish when we do the right thing. So I just want to, be able to celebrate that fact and to really speak to all, to that type of celebration, and to get our community on board and being forward thinking and trying to celebrate such a great achievement.
You talk about learning more about Juneteenth. Arthur, what are you hoping that folks get out of this celebration in North Miami Beach?
I want the people to get out of it that our commission is aware of the times, is aware of the need to educate not only the adults, but educate the youth. I want everybody to get out of it that to know where we've come from and where we're going, as Commissioner Joseph has said before. I want everybody to get that out of it. I want everybody to be educated. I want everybody to know that in this diverse community, everybody can learn about each other and what each other's past experiences and the past what our forefathers have done. So I just want everybody to be educated. I'm really excited for the kids. We have a kid component, and I'm really excited for the kid component, so the kids will learn about what's going on.
Well, let's talk about the event itself.
Of course, we have a robust agenda for our Juneteenth celebration. We have a unity in the community that's being sponsored along with us with the NAACP. We also have a seal and expungement clinic that we're running with the Miami-Dade Public Defender's Office. That's going to be providing services to anybody in Dade County looking for services to seal or expunge their records, as well as the fact we're having financial literacy programs and programs helping our young children learn more about Juneteenth through different games and projects to get them ingratiated in such a pivotal moment in our history. Like the manager mentioned before, the reason why this is important in celebrating Juneteenth is you have to know where you came from to know where you're going. And highlighting a point in our history, such an important part of our history, is why I felt that my city is moving forward, making it Juneteenth a municipal holiday. And I feel that a lot of cities are going to follow suit. And I'm very proud with a manager like we have now and the staff that we have now to really execute in making this our first annual celebration, which will be the first in many to come. And I'm very happy of that. But like I said, we have a big, robust program. We want everyone in the community to come on down, check out Juneteenth, get some good food from Shuckin' and Jivin', which is being brought in by our main sponsor, our main coordinator for this event, which is the Black Professional Network. And please come on down. Juneteenth is going to be an awesome day. Please come on down, enjoy the festivities, have a great time in the greatest city on earth, North Miami Beach.
And so when you hear all that, city manager, you haven't been there with the city long. You even said that. So you heard from the commissioner right there. So you yourself, what are you taking away from this? And what are you hoping that your residents there in the city of North Miami Beach take away from this?
I'm taking away, I'm going to be educated as well. I don't think everyone is fully educated, but I'm going to be educated as well. I'm taking away really that, that my commission has charged me and my staff with putting this event together. I'm taking away, it's a big ask, and I think we're going to deliver on it. So I'm taking away the education. I'm really taking away that, that we're going to do something great for the kids. We're going to educate these kids, and they're going to know where they came from. They're going to understand what Juneteenth means. I don't think I knew it, when I was a kid, exactly what it was, but I'm taking away that we're going to have festivities for the kids, and the kids are going to be educated on what Juneteenth is. So I'm just really excited about it.
Amen. You heard it right there. Commissioner Joseph, thank you so much. And thank you for your vision. And with this Juneteenth celebration, I appreciate you. And of course, City Manager, my friend, my man, Arthur Sori, I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. And we encourage everyone to go check out the Juneteenth celebration, learn something. Go check it out there at North Miami Beach. Thank you so much, guys. All right, now moving on to the nation's largest Black-owned bank, One United Bank. It works to narrow the race-wealth gap in the United States and promote financial literacy in urban communities. One United Bank is celebrating Juneteenth by educating South Floridians on financial literacy with their free virtual financial conference. I said free, One Transaction, happening this Saturday. And here with me today is Terry Williams. She is the president and chief operating officer at One United Bank, here to talk a little bit more about it. Welcome to the show, Terry. And you are muted right now, Terry, so I need you to unmute.
You're all right. Sorry about that. But no, thank you for having me, Juwan. Thank you. It's great to be here.
It was good to have you, Terry, as always. Well, to celebrate Juneteenth, One United Bank is focusing on financial literacy. You heard a little bit about that in our previous discussion with North Miami Beach, financial literacy, which is so important. Why is it so important?
Oh, it is so important. It really helps us focus on what we need to do as a family to close the wealth gap for our family, whether that's savings and investments, having a profitable business, improving our credit score, insurance, home ownership, having a will.
Hmm.
There's so many things that we can do for ourselves to close the wealth gap for ourselves, sort of for us by us, which is why we're having this conference on Saturday. It's this Saturday. Very excited. I know. I'm just like, I can't believe it. It's
No, I love it.
almost
I
here.
love it. And it's free. And it's free,
And
which
it's free.
I
And
love
we have
that.
30,000 people that have
Wow.
registered. 30,000.
30,000
So,
people.
yes, that are going to join us on Saturday. And we specifically scheduled the conference for Juneteenth because of what it means for our community. It means freedom. It means that we can, make a way, sometimes out of no way. So, we're really excited to have it.
I love that. Why do you think financial literacy is lacking in the
Mm.
Black community?
Mhm.
Where would you say that originates from?
Yeah. So it's, part of it is just generational, that we don't always have the money conversations around the table with our parents.
Hmm.
A lot of us don't pass the knowledge on to our kids. Money is sort of a taboo subject. So part of it is generational, but part of it is systemic. The reality is that there's systemic racism. And some of the rules were written to stop us from building wealth. So even if we knew what to do, like buy property or, invest, the rules were really stacked against us. So, we say, we need to vote and focus on public policy, but we also need to see what we can do for ourselves. And that's where this conference comes in, and that's where One United focuses its attention, is what we can do for ourselves as a community.
And you're already helping by doing that. One United is, but
Mhm.
talk about some of the other things that One United Bank is doing or
Yeah.
has done to
Yep.
help people as far as resources are concerned,
Yep.
overcome some of those odds.
Yep. So, we have a lot of services to help our community build wealth, and particularly in South Florida, which is where you are. So, we participate in the Miami-Dade County First-Time Homebuyers Program, as well as Miami Beach and several other areas have first-time homebuyers. We participate in all of those. We offer a secured credit card to help people rebuild their credit. We offer a second chance checking account because we have a large part of our community that is unbanked because they have a check systems record and they can't open an account. Well, you can open one with us. And then we also have, we focus on our youth as well. It's great to hear North Miami Beach focusing on the children. We have an essay contest that we have every year. And thank you, Juwan, for covering it every year, where a child can win $1,000 savings account. We actually had 3 winners this year from South Florida. So there are a lot of ways. We try to get them young with our essay and art contest. And by the way, it's due June 30th, so you still have time. But we also go all the way up to, our elders. You can come into our branch and get a free checking account with our silver checking. So there's a lot of ways in which you could basically use the bank to help build your wealth.
And you mentioned kids, which I love.
Yeah.
So how is this breaking the cycle, Terry? How is
Yes.
this breaking
Yeah.
the cycle
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
regards to generational wealth?
Yes. So, first of all, our youth accounts are free. Let me just say that. But this financial literacy program, which we've had for 11 years, and so we've given out, savings accounts, $1,000 savings accounts to 10 winners for 11 years. And I'll tell you that it's not just the winners that win. It's also the kids that read a book, a financial literacy book, and it could be anyone. I wrote a book called I Got Bank. But there are a lot of other books now. When I wrote it, there weren't many books for our community, but there are now others. And we just say, read a book and then do an art project or write an essay about how you could use what you've learned in that book to help your family. And I'll tell you, every child that enters wins. And every parent that, has a child that enters starts saying, oh my gosh, they're starting to ask me questions like, why are you going to the check casher, or what are you doing with your money? And so it really does not just help the child, but it helps the family. And in fact,
Amen.
this one transaction event, we want to be a family event. We're saying watch it with your family, actually take a picture and have a watch party, post it on Instagram and Twitter. And we're gonna actually give away $500 to the best pick. So, we're really trying to make it a family affair.
Amen. And what can guests take away from the one transaction event?
What you can take away is that it's important to focus on one transaction that can make a difference in your family and close the wealth gap for your family. And to look at your own situation and decide, what is that one thing that I can do? Should I work? And, we say claim one in 2021. So do you need to improve your credit score? Do you need to start or develop a profitable business? Do you need to focus on home ownership, savings and investments? A will. Do you have a will? I always say only 30% of our family has wills, but 100% of us are going to die. So I hate to say that, but we all need a will. Insurance. Insurance is one of the cheapest ways to leave generational wealth. Do your parents have insurance? Do you have insurance for your kids? So there's so many things that we can do. And we just say, focus on one of those. And then we give you action steps to get it done. And I'm just thrilled that 30,000 people have signed up for this virtual conference we're having on Saturday. And I just can't be more than thrilled.
So is it too late for me to sign up? Is it too late for
No,
folks to sign up? They're watching right
isn't.
now.
It
Can
is
they still
not
sign
too
up?
late. Yes, absolutely. But you got to sign up by Friday.
By
So
Friday.
Friday is when registration closes. But you can sign up. You can go to oneunited.com/one transaction, ONE transaction, and you can sign up for the conference. It is free, and you won't be able to get in unless you do sign up. So please sign up. If you think you're going to go, please sign up, because we really want you to be there. And Friday registration will be closed.
Amen. Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining us. As always, you're great. I just always feel so inspired every time I speak with you to make sure I have everything in order. When I talk to you, I am so inspired. I'm ready to take on the world.
Good. Thank you, Juwan. Thanks for having me.
Always, Terry. Thank you. And we're going to continue on with the One United Bank discussion, one transaction event, which includes panelists like actress Tiffany Haddish, Shark Tank's Damon John, and other leaders in the finance world, along with Calvin Martyr, who is here today. He is the founder of the Blackout Day 2020 movement and the Blackout Coalition. You have to welcome him to the show, because the Blackout Coalition is a pro-solution, nonviolent, and social injustice organization. The organization believes in combating systemic racism by spending money with Black and brown businesses in order to help redistribute funding. So welcome, Calvin, to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing quite well. How about yourself, sir?
Man, I am great, my brother. And Martyr that is really your last name?
No, that's not my actual last name. That's my artist name my moniker.
Oh, see, you got me.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you are born with that last name. You are definitely a martyr.
Nah, that's been my my artist moniker since 2014.
Since 2014. Man, I tell you, well, you are somewhat of a genius in your own right. So we're going to get right down to it, Calvin. You started a movement last year. I actually did it. I was part of that movement after creating a Facebook page that reached over 1 million followers in a matter of weeks with the hashtag Blackout Day 2020. It reached millions of people across multi-social media platforms and everything else. Can you tell us more about the movement and why you started it?
Absolutely. So the Blackout Day 2020 movement, honestly, it started from a moment of clarity, a vision that I had on the evening of May 7th, which was the same day that I saw the video of Ahmaud Arbery. And I just had a completely clear vision of all Black people globally united politically, socially, economically, and elsewise. And just something rose in my spirit, after years of, studying the Black struggle and studying different Black power movements and things of that nature, such as Garvey and Malcolm X,
Hmm.
Huey P, and the Panthers, and the list goes
That's
on.
right.
I just made a video. I just literally just went live, and I didn't have any previous knowledge of the term blackout being used or anything, but it just came. It literally just came in my spirit. Like right then, I was like, man, if we just take 60 days, it would just happen to be July 7th, and I just went with it. And from there, it was, and I just happened to be reading that evening Martin Luther King's "Where Do We Go From Here?" And so
Wow.
just thinking about his words in that book and that civil rights movement as a whole, and in our lifetime, or we'll say in the last 50, even the last 100 years, the only mechanism that we've seen that actually got legislation, even though it may be legislation that as he says, even cost them little, that's the economic protests at this point in 2021. Especially last year, we lost over 50% of Black businesses. So now it's even harder to black out this year, even than last year, right? And with all the disparity, with them acting like there's no conversation for reparations, the only real tool we have within our control is
Amen.
economic protests, economic withdrawal, as Dr. King spoke of the day before they assassinated him.
Oh, it's so very true. And why do you believe that it is so important to make an effort to redistribute funding among communities of color?
Well, I'm great debt that they have yet to pay. There's a
You,
great there's a
you,
great
can you say that again? You were muted. I don't know what happened.
oh
Can you say that
oh
again?
I said the truth is that America has a great debt that has yet to be paid to Black America. Point
Amen.
blank period. There's a great injustice. The argument is constantly made that slavery was so far away and things of that nature. But I would argue to say slavery is very alive and well, and it's been crafted in such a way that you just are not aware of it. The individual that actually created the private prison, a structure that even government funded prisons follow, he's still alive today. Y'all can look it up. Terrell Don Hutto. He's 85 years old, and he's the head of a company called Core Civic, which used to be CCA. And he literally used to be the warden of a prison plantation back in the 60s. He did it so well, as a matter of fact, that a whole nother state had him come and do it for them. And he took that model and created the private prison structure in the 80s. And that has led to what we now have in the prisons today. The whole this for-profit labor that started. So it's all tied and still present. And so when we have the actual system of white supremacy still actively monetizing off of this concept of owning people, this, there shall be no slavery except for punishment as a crime. And then we have Asian Americans receiving reparations in the 80s. We have uh, you know, legislation being passed even this year for hate crimes, and yet we don't want to have an honest conversation about what is owed.
Amen. Oh, brother, you are breaking it down. And I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm going to bring Terry back into the conversation because Terry wants to get involved as well. But I want to ask you, as a part of the Blackout Coalition's mission, of course, is to economically unite people of color. So how are you making that happen? I mean, you've already given examples, a few of them, on how you're doing that. But what other things are you doing in order to make that happen?
Obviously the main way is just encouraging our people to do business with each other, right? Giving opportunities for businesses to have a platform to promote and be visible. Countless. We have something called Money Making Monday, for instance, on Mondays, where we just have thousands of business owners. Literally every Monday, thousands of comments of links and different services are posted. We have people in our group who have committed to spending $100 a week with Black businesses in there. So it's just really the first step in Dr. Clyde Anderson's Powernomics 5-tier structure, and we actually tried to take the second step as well, right? To which is establishing our 501c4 nonprofit in order to be able to move into lobbying and things of that nature. But just the stimulation of circulating our dollars with each other, we have tried and continue to try to develop a directory type of resource of sorts. There's all kinds of fragmented ones, right? But ultimately, and even this year, we're turning up the heat. It's simply saying, listen, we have to have an unwavering commitment to supporting our own, because every other ethnic group in America does this. Everybody else practices this but ourselves. And if we want our voices to be heard, this is how we do it. Find out, if anybody's watching this right now, you can find out right now, between now and November 1st, where the businesses in your local area and where the businesses online that you can solicit to get all the products that you want that are Black or minority owned. It's really just a matter of a mindset.
Amen. And let's bring back Terry. Terry Williams back in for the conversation. I know, Terry, you're itching to talk a little bit more about Calvin, but I can see why you have Calvin as a part of this great event.
Yes, I wanted to say that. First of all, I just wanted a little correction, Joanne. It wasn't 1 million, it was 2 million. 2 million people actually follow Blackout Day 2020.
Wow.
2 million people. And because of Blackout Day 2020, we started to see a shift in how large companies are supporting Black businesses. We saw Yelp and Google start to give us ways to identify ourselves. Now, if you're a Black business, you know what I'm about to say. There were times when we were concerned about saying that we were a Black business. You know, we were concerned that people weren't going to do business with us because we were Black owned. And that has completely switched to actually people wanting to identify themselves as Black owned businesses because of Blackout Day 2020, Calvin Martyr, who got our community to focus on supporting Black businesses. So I do want to say that. And I also want to say that he's teaching a class at our One Transaction virtual conference. He and our CEO are teaching, he and Kevin Cohee are teaching a class, and I hear it's going to be phenomenal. So he's going to educate. In fact, the name of it is How to Build a Business and a Movement in the Digital Age. So you're talking to two men, Black men, who have done it, and they're going to share wisdom on how to do it. And so I just want to encourage everyone to join us on Saturday. I do want to do sort of a praise to Calvin for what he's done in helping our community. I just had to get that in.
What do you think about that, Calvin? I mean, listen, Terry could, she was done. She had to come back on and praise you for what you did. What do you think about that, brother?
He was being too humble. He was being too humble. I had to get it.
It's funny because even, Kevin Cohee, he told me the same thing, and I've spoken with Miss Terry several times. And I actually asked her, like, let's be honest, like, why did you include me in this conference with these names? Like, because for real, I'm like, I saw the flyers like Damon John, Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
I'm like, shoot, man, I ain't, I'm not on their level at all, but she really made it clear to me, like, without, like, if you really think about it, that the whole explosion after George Floyd and everything of economic protest, withdrawal, like that whole conversation. I mean, the soliciting, CNN business reported that searches for soliciting Black businesses last summer was up 7,000%. Like, just the whole, and then that energy carried on through the rest of the year, even with, a lot of companies giving a lot of promises. She was breaking that down, and I really was like, wow, I guess you're right. It would.
You brought the attention to it.
It would
help bring that attention, because and it's not just businesses, but CEOs, CFOs, people in executive positions, people of color that were lacking. And then all of a sudden we have businesses and corporations that are looking for people of color to hire, whereas before they weren't. And so you played a part in that conversation, you know, and let's be real. So did George Floyd.
Yeah.
And that's what George Floyd did. His legacy right now lives on because again, that's when we started having the conversation.
Right.
Again, people start opening up their eyes more and listening. And that's exactly what you helped to kind of push through with the whole Blackout Coalition and what you're doing today. So I want to ask you another question. What is spending power? And why does it matter, Calvin?
So spending power, to my understanding, is the actual liquid cash that comes into our community. That may not be actually shown in equity, meaning like the dollar, the fiat currency may not actually be translating to looking like wealth within our community, but it does come into our community. But we have the spending power, but our spending habits lack spending discipline.
Oof. Oh,
That's the
man.
Oh, I never even said that sentence. That just came out.
Brother, I love that. That
We
is
have
so true. I see Terry smiling because she knows it's right.
we
Because
have
I've
this
heard it from
spending
Terry.
power. We have the spending power, but what our spending habits do not have spending discipline, and the discipline has to be we're gonna circulate this amongst ourselves first. It's unfortunate because we don't have uh to quote the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, point 15, Article 15.2, it says that no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his right to nationality or his right to change a nationality. And having an actual nationality gives you a national consciousness, right? A national identity. And in order to have any type of nationhood, you must first have a sense of national consciousness. So right now, the issue is there is no national consciousness when it comes to Black America. There's not a national consciousness and some type of tying ourselves to one common understanding and identity. Asian Americans do have this. That's why we can see legislation get passed like that for hate crimes. Isn't it ironic that all last year was about hate crimes against Black people, but the legislation that gets passed this year is not for Black people for hate crimes? But that's another conversation. What I'm saying is, though, they have a national consciousness, and I don't know where you live, but I know even me where I stay right now, I see this in real time. The Asian community, I read a report from our police department because been trying to work with them on some things, but there's a report in the Asians in our community are 3%, but guess what, they literally have their own grocery store like Walmart. It's called Omart. They have their own and they all just shop there like and they have their own car washes. They have their own laundromats, their own dry cleaners, like, and they are the most wealthy group in our city. 3% though, they're 3% of the population because they have a national consciousness. Until that begins to happen for Black America, then that spending power we have will never translate into the equity that we should be building and controlling.
Very well said, Terry. You're smiling like a proud big sister. So you want to add to the conversation? Then I got one more question for Calvin.
Yeah. Well, I think it is important for us. Another way that I describe what he's talking about is that we have the largest Asian American owned bank is $30 billion. The largest Hispanic Latino American bank is $20 billion. We're One United Bank, the largest Black owned bank, and we're less than $1 billion. So he's right. There's definitely a need for us to bank Black, to buy Black, and to figure out ways to circulate dollars in our community. And I don't, for lack of a better term, blame us, for our spending habits per se, because I think we were raised with this concept of their ice is colder. And I said that
Mm.
to my kids, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And I says, no, when we were raised, it was like their ice is colder. If I have an option of going to a white, doctor and a black doctor, I'm going to choose a white doctor, or white bank and a black bank, I'm going to go to a white bank because their ice is colder. And what we recognize today is that that's not true.
That's
That
right.
in fact, our ice is colder, that we have a much better sense of our community than others. And so, it is something though that we have to unlearn. I talk about all these myths that we have. The reality is that this wealth gap doesn't exist because we spend too much or we spend on the wrong things. This wealth gap exists because public policy stopped us from building wealth, because we're not paid equitably. The Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland did a study that said if Black folks were paid the same amount as white folks for the same job beginning in 1977, there would be no wealth gap today. Think about that.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's
So it's not
wow.
because we spend too much, it's because we make too little because we are underpaid for the work that we do. So I do think that we do need to circulate our dollars. I do think we need to spend with ourselves to help build our businesses back up after this pandemic. But I also know that we need to ensure that public policy really does support our wealth building.
Amen. And Terry, thank you once again for joining us. And Calvin, last question for you is Blackout Day 2021. It's approaching. So what's the goal for this year? And how many people are you planning to reach this time around? Yeah, as you heard, see, Terry put you on the spot. Now you got to break 2 million, brother. You did 2 million. Terry,
Right.
see, I said 1 million. It was
Right.
2 million.
You know what was crazy was last year, again, the July 7th date just was kind of more spontaneous. And I think we'll always commemorate, if you will, July 7th each year, however we do. But this year, I was watching this and I have no affiliation with this documentary or anything, but I encourage every single one of you watching to go, if you have Amazon Prime Video or however you can find it, there's a documentary called Cotton Picking Truth, Still on the Plantation. Very powerful. It was filmed in like 2009, 2010. But it opened my eyes greatly to something very heart wrenching, and that's the fact that there were still people actually enslaved, and they're interviewing someone in this documentary, a woman who grew up, her and her family, and she was actually enslaved into the 60s. And actually, during the filming of this documentary, and this was 2009, during the filming of it, they actually found individuals down in Mississippi who were still on a plantation and were too afraid to speak about it on camera. So it opened my eye. In that documentary, they interviewed Dick Gregory. He was still alive then,
That's
Baba.
right.
And he says something. You want to end police brutality? And this is what sparked this year's. It's always a message from the ancestors that hits me. Me and my wife literally were up like 2 or 3 in the morning watching this. It just gripped us. And he said, you want to end this police brutality? It's simple. Organize a nationwide boycott of Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then Dick Gregory said, then the real white boys will come like
Typical Dick Gregory.
Yeah.
That's Dick Gregory.
But it made sense to me because he broke it down, and this was numbers from back then, right? But he was saying, at the end of the day, 75 to 82% of their revenue comes within that period. They're banking on the Thanksgiving and the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday and the Christmas season and everything that comes with that. So when we talk about this discipline, we're not saying don't buy anything for your family for Christmas or anything of that. We're saying all that money that you're already going to spend from November 1st to January 1st, find a Black business to spend it with that whole season. And let's see how they like that. Because I guarantee you, again, we have the spending power, but our spending habits cause us Wow. We got the spending power, but our spending habits cause us to not have any spending
Amen.
discipline. So if we have some spending discipline this year from November 1st to January 1st, and whether it's you're buying gas, whether you're, because like whether you're buying your presents, your food, there really is no excuse in this day and age. There are websites, directories galore, but this is this is literally a personal thing for each of us. We have to all decide, and we have to. I wonder, like, I really. I've been trying to search for what was the special juice that MLK used in down in Montgomery. I just want to know, like, what got everybody, because I know in this day and age you can't hardly move a group of black folk to do anything together. What got everybody so convinced that we're going to stand by this? Nobody's riding. We're walking, we carpooling, but we're not riding the bus. I'm trying to figure out what has to happen, but not trauma. I don't want it to have to be trauma. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We always do it around trauma, but
that's right.
that's not an energy that can be sustained long term. It has to be because we all can look at each other and say, you know what? Not just here in America, but in Central America, in South America, where actually the largest population of Black people outside the continent of what is now called Africa are. All throughout the diaspora, there just seems to be this common plight. Some of us have achieved success, yes, right? Many of us.
Mhm.
But the majority of us, because of these systemic issues, as I close, because of these systemic issues, that was like one of the church jokes,
Believe me, I
because of
got
these
it.
because of these systemic issues and the disparities and the lack of accountability and point blank withholding of justice and judgment in America, as a majority, we are behind. And so that is what the fight is. So until we show that we are united, that we do have a united front, we will not receive any respect, any legislation, any of those things. We'll keep getting those as empty promises, but the follow through, it won't ever come.
Amen. Amen, my brother. I really appreciate you, Calvin. Very
Likewise.
well said. Very well said. And look forward to checking you out, man. Again, all of you out there, there's so much more to learn from Calvin and so many others, as well as Terry. Thank you so much. You see it there. There's a website. Go ahead and sign up if you can. 30,000 people have already signed up. So oneunited.com, one transaction. Check it out. Calvin, thank you so much once again, my brother. And be sure to check out our website for more information on this event as well as others happening in our community, so you can join in on the Juneteenth celebration at NBC6.com or by checking out the NBC6 mobile app. Well, that's our show for tonight. Man, it was a great show, and I hope you got inspired like I did as well. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And before we go, remember, education is the key to success. If you believe, you will succeed. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.